Hello everybody, Sunday Adelaja here. I'm back with the teachings on leadership. And my own principle of leadership is a leader is a ladder. And so I would like you to go and invite everybody that you know or the people that you care about. A leader is a ladder, but the topic of today is a leader reproduces himself. A leader reproduces himself. So go find everybody that you care about and you care for to come and listen to this series. Share, share, share. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to be wasting a lot of time in this series. I'm just going to go directly to the teaching and we'll take off. So a leader reproduces himself. Now, the focus of every leader is not to have a big church. Unfortunately, what we examine or what we observe in our generation today, especially, is that everybody wants to become a pastor. And the reason why they want to become a pastor is just so that people will follow them. People are more interested in crowd following them, and so that they could use that crowd later on as a leverage to be able to say, well, this I am, this is who I am, I'm a big man, see me and see all the crowd of people following me. But really, that is not what leadership is supposed to be about. Leadership, for you to be a leader, if you're a pastor, you're supposed to be a leader, and your role, your heartbeat as a leader, your priority as a leader, the things that you should really be concerned about is not to be thinking of, getting so much people, and the more people follow you, the more money you have. I mean, that is a pollution of leadership. That is an abuse of leadership. And right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking of a lot of so-called pastors in Nigeria that are just riding on the back of the ordinary people to build their own empire. And what people now think in Christianity is that a leader is somebody that has a lot of people following them. No. Yes, it's good that you have people that are following you. It's good that you could influence people. But that shouldn't be your primary concern. But the fact that you have people following you should be a natural result, a natural consequence. But the real thing that you should be more interested in is not that people are following you, but what you are going to do with those people that are following you. Your primary objective and your primary task and focus should be on how to make these people who are following you to be reproduced, how to reproduce these people who are following you. So the whole idea is reproduction, reproducing yourself. So whoever you are, let's say you are able to do one thing or the other. So that your target must be to make everybody that is following you to be able to do the same thing, to be able to, for you to be able to reproduce yourself in them, at least in 20% of the people in the minimum, and in the maximum in 80% of the people. They all must be able to be like you and to be able to do the same thing that you are able to do. So the whole goal that you should have is, your interest shouldn't be about just trying to make them follow you. To make people follow you is cheap, it's easy. People follow different people for different reasons. And most people who follow you might not be following you for the right reason. But so if you are not having the right target and the right agenda, the wrong people will be following you, and they'll be following you for the wrong reason as well. But in the real leadership is about making people who follow you to be able to live by the same principles that you are living by. You are supposed to be able to reproduce the same value systems that are in you in those people who are following you. So if you want to become a head of state, think about it. What will you be able to reproduce in 180 people, that 80 million people that are following you? So it's not just enough for you to become a head of state, but in your ability, you must be able to think first and be able to imagine in your mind What are the values and the qualities that you want to reproduce in all these people that are following you? If you don't have a vision to reproduce yourself in the 200 million people that are following you, like in a country like Nigeria, then you are not ready to be a country. You are meant to be a leader of that country. If you don't see ways and strategies that you could reproduce some of your best qualities in people, then you shouldn't even go to leadership. Leadership is not just for you to be given a title. Leadership is not just about you being called by the heavy and the big names. Leadership is not just for you to go and use the resources of the people that are there. Leadership is you having an understanding, having a vision for every one of those people that are following you, that there are some of your concepts, that there are some of your beliefs, some of your ideals that you clearly want to reproduce in the people. So first of all, for you to have people following you, you must think about who you are. What are the virtues that you have? What are the value system that you have in you? What do you carry? What is your content? What is the content of your character? Because it is that content of character that you want to reproduce in people. You want to reproduce your value systems and the things that make you who you are, things that make you tick. You want to reproduce those things in the people that are following you. That must be your vision. Your vision should not just be to say, okay, everybody is different, everybody just do what. No. You must have something that qualifies you to be a leader. That thing that qualifies you to be a leader is the superior qualities, the superior standards. So those your superior standards must be so clear-cut that other people must see them in you. And you too must be sure of those things, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those qualities that you have. Then you must not just be sure of those qualities, but you must also be willing and be sure that you are willing to impact those qualities and those abilities and those skills to other people. More so, you must also be sure that you have a direction, a vision, that a place where you want to lead all those people that are following you to. That you are not just leading them to somewhere, but you are also interested in them imbibing in themselves the very thing that you carry in yourself. So it is your ability to be able to impact your value system to others that actually makes you a leader that reproduces himself. It's just like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is a tremendous leader. Now, Jesus Christ came to this world and he had a lot of people following him, but the people that he called his disciples were people in whom he succeeded in reproducing himself. In reproducing, when we say reproducing himself, it doesn't mean that people are laughing like him or walking like him or talking like him. No, maybe that one also, but that's not the main thing. When we're talking about leadership that reproduces himself, it means that he's been able to reproduce in those people the very same character, the content of character that Jesus brought to the world, that to give to humanity, things that makes him unique, things that make him Jesus, things that he has that other people don't have. So first of all, Jesus came and he brought the kingdom of God. That kingdom of God impacted into his children, into his followers. So that is one thing. So Jesus had a superior spirit that other people didn't have. He had the kingdom of God and imparted that kingdom into people. So he's taken out of himself and reproducing the kingdom which he has in himself. He reproduced it in his followers. That's number one. Another thing, Jesus Christ was born by the Spirit of God. So he is not just an ordinary human. He was born by the Spirit of God. He had the Spirit of God in essence, without limit. And what did he do? He impacted that spirit. He breathed on the disciples and gave them the same spirit that he had. So that's number two. So the things that Jesus had, he was reproducing it. He reproduced the kingdom in them. He reproduced the Spirit of God in them. He made them to be regenerated, to be reborn, just like he was born of the Spirit. He made them to also be regenerated, to be reborn of the Spirit. That is basically what leadership is. Leadership is the ability for you to make your quality to be born in the people that are following you. For example, in Nigeria right now, if we are talking about the leader of the country, and we are saying is a man of integrity, like Buhari is not corrupt. Now, what is leadership? leadership, the kind of leadership we want from him is for him to be able to lead a country whereby that quality, that content of character that he has, which is in uncorruptible, that ability for him to be corruption free, he must be able to reproduce that quality in his followers and then in the whole nation, so that our country, maybe not everybody 100% will be able to imbibe that culture or that principle, but the whole idea will be clear, the direction will be very clear, and the whole process, the work of rebirthing and regenerating the nature of God in those people, or the nature of the leader in those people, it will be ongoing, and it will be clear to everybody that this is a leader. A leader reproduces himself in the people that follows him. The same thing with Jesus. We saw him that he reproduced the kingdom that he had in other people. He reproduced his spirit in people. Then even the leadership quality that he had, he reproduced that leadership quality in other people, and at least in the core that he had, which is the 12 disciples, and those other people now reproduce it in the other people that followed him. So you could see that he was a leader, and he made all these people to become leaders as well. That is reproducing his qualities in his followers. And so when he was gone, nothing was lost. Those people could still continue reproducing and leading the whole world, and brought the whole world to the feet of the Lord, because he had reproduced himself in them before he left. So the whole idea about leadership should be for the leader to be engulfed, to be thinking, strategically on how he, as a leader, could reproduce himself in the people that he's planning to lead. It's not just about telling people go there and I'm having influence on you. It's leading them to be able to do the same thing that he's been able to do as a leader. So that is what leadership is. A true leader will reproduce himself in other people. When you look at the Bible, in the book of Timothy, we see that Paul himself was talking about this aspect of leadership. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse number 2, in 2 Timothy 2:2, it says, and the thing, this is Paul writing to Timothy, and he said, and the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. Now, can you hear that again? So we have, on one hand, we have Paul here. Paul found Timothy, but he didn't just find Timothy. He said the things, he's talking to Timothy, the things that you have heard from me among other witnesses. So we have Paul reproduced Timothy, and not just Timothy alone, because Timothy was trained alongside other witnesses. He said, the things that you have heard from me together among many witnesses. So many will mean that apart from Timothy himself, there will be at least 2 other people there. So we have 3 people right there that had been trained and reproduced, in whom Paul was able to reproduce himself. This is leadership, the ability to reproduce yourself in another. But in this case, Paul was a master leader. He was not able just reproduce himself in Timothy. He was able to reproduce himself in Timothy and at least 2 other people. So we see 3 people coming out of one person, one Paul. But then it didn't end there. He said the things that you have heard. So Timothy had it. He had it among many witnesses, so many, actually more than 2, so let's say 3, that's 4. So Timothy had what Paul taught and imparted to other witnesses, making them at least 4 people. Then he's instructing Timothy now, out of the 4 who heard, he's now telling Timothy alone by himself, now Timothy, the things that you have learned from me, all those things that I've taught you, make sure you now go ahead and find other people to whom you will reproduce, or in whom you will reproduce these same qualities and virtues that I taught you. So he said, the things that you have heard of me, that I taught you in the presence of others, go and commit these things to faithful men. So men is not just one. Timothy, don't just commit it to one person, but commit it to faithful men. That is like men will be at least 2 people. So we have 4 people here. Then he's now instructing Timothy again to go ahead and commit to faithful men. That's at least 2 other people. So committing what you had from me. So he's coming from Paul, got to Timothy with many weaknesses. Then from there, he's going from Timothy to other, not just ordinary men. Don't just commit them to men, to people, but commit them to faithful men. So what? Faithful in what? Faithful in the sense that they will be faithful to keep on passing it on. They will be faithful in reproducing themselves in other people that will follow them. They will be faithful in reproducing themselves, in reproducing other leaders, in committing these things to other men. So he said, commit these things to faithful men who will be able also in their part to teach them to others also. Can you see how many generations of people? This whole thing is like a chain reaction. This is what it means. Why? To be a leader. A leader must reproduce himself. You know, what we see in the business world these days is not the best form of leadership. Because what we see in the business world is that, you know, people just come and you just make announcements in the newspapers and people show up and you pay them salary. They just come to work and go back, and everybody remain who they are. They are not changing. They are not regenerating. They are not being transformed. They just remain who they are. They're just coming to do some job, some work. No, that is not the kind of leadership we're talking about. Real leadership, when you get to the bottom of it, real leadership is the ability to be able to produce the best qualities of the leader in the other people. The best values that that leader carries, he must be able to produce them in other people. So here, it started with Paul. Then Paul found at least 3 men, among whom Timothy was, and he was able to reproduce himself in those 3 men. Now he's instructing Timothy, and I'm sure he's instructing other people too, to go also and do the same thing that he has done to them or for them to other men. So he said, Paul, Timothy, other men, then go and commit these things. Go and reproduce yourself the way what I'm reproducing you, go and reproduce it in other men, in other faithful men. So that men is about 2 or 3 other people. So when this thing is multiplying, when you reproduce these values and these qualities in these men, then they, because that's why they are faithful men, they must now be faithful and be diligent to also teach it to others. This is what leadership is. Leadership is about reproduction. True leadership is the ability of a leader to reproduce himself in others. If a leader doesn't do that, when the leader is off the stage, his work also is off the stage. When a leader is gone, his work is dead. When a leader dies, everything dies with him because he has not reproduced himself in others. But what we're talking about is the ability of a leader to actually be able to reproduce himself in the people that follow him. So we see this happening here. And let's read the scripture again in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, the things you have heard. So it's not one thing. So there have been a number of things, a number of virtues, a number of value system, a number of content of character from Paul, a number of revelations, understanding, and that was impacted into Timothy and into these other men that were together with Timothy. So the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, so that's a whole generation there from one person. That is what real leadership is. Either it's a political leadership, or it is spiritual leadership, or it is business leadership. It must be about reproduction. It must be about the person who is reproducing himself. So but then not just reproducing himself in these particular people, in Timothy and in a few people with him, but Timothy must also be able to take that ahead and reproduce it in faithful men. In faithful, in the sense that they will be faithful to also reproduce it in other faithful men, in other men. And that's the whole chain reaction that takes place from there on. And that is how, an enterprise or a vision never dies. And that's how the vision, goes on and is never ended. So, and that's what Jesus did. Even though Paul was not with Jesus directly, being trained by him, but you could see that he's learned from Jesus in a great way, because Jesus, he took his time to, dedicate himself to his 12 disciples, and he imparted into them the things that he had. And this thing that he imparted into them, they were able to impart it to the world. And up to now, can you believe it? It's over 2,000 years now that Jesus is gone from this world. And guess what? The things that Jesus brought is being imparted to people all over the world, thanks to this principle of a leader reproducing himself. So let me talk more about the process that it will take for a leader to be able to live this way and to be able to reproduce himself in other people. So let me talk about the process. Number one, as a leader, you must be able to have something in you. You must have some virtues that are superior virtues. You must have some qualities that are superior qualities. You must have the knowledge of God that other people might not have, that is superior to what is readily available to other people. So that makes you a leader immediately, because it gives you an edge. But so besides you having something or knowing something that other people don't know, that is number one, step number one. You must also know that your role as a leader is not to just be served by these people or to just be ministered to. No. Your role, and as a leader, you must not just be satisfied that, I'm better than everybody else. They don't know what I know. I am the only one. Let them be worshiping me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you are happy with it. And you say, yes, you are wearing your regalia. You are happy. Everybody's bowing down to you. No, that's not the role of a leader. That's not the place of a leader. You should not be happy that people are just bowing down to you and you are the only one who is superior and you are the only one who knows what they don't know and they are all subservient to you. No, that shouldn't make you happy at all. So what makes you happy? You must day and night be thinking of how to reproduce whatever you know in these people, so much that they don't need to bow down to you anymore. You shouldn't feel threatened. You should not feel threatened that if I teach these people what I know, they are going to compete with me, or they are going to be as good as I am, and then they are not going to bow down to me again, and then I'm going to lose out and things like that. No, a leader doesn't think like that. If you are still thinking like that, you are an insecure child. You are an insecure infant. You are just an infant. So. But if you are truly matured, if you are truly a leader, you will be more concerned about impacting what you know to the people around you than you are concerned about the crowd that is coming, that is following you. You must be more concerned about how to teach them what you know, how to help them get it, how to be able to know what you know, how they should be able to do what you do, how they should be able to perform on the same level as you. You are so overwhelmed by this that you are not even remembering to think about the fear that they might discard you or get rid of you, or not respect you or things like that. So as a leader, you have something that other people don't have, but also as a leader, you must be looking for ways and opportunities to give to them, to other people, what you have. You must be able to walk with the people who are following you, walk with them so that they know that you have an agenda for them. You have to open their eyes and let them know that you have a vision for them, that you see them ahead, you see them becoming something, and that you plan to make them into this, which is an extension of what you know, that you plan to give them what you know, to share with them what you know, and to make them to become, the people that, God is showing you that they will become. So that's number one. Number two, sorry. So number one, you know you have something. You are aware of what you know. Number two, you must be able to inform others and that you want to impart to them what you have. That the things you know, you want to impart it into them. Number three, you must be able to help them to become doers like you, to be able to practice what you teach them, what you are giving to them. You must be able to organize them and organize the knowledge for them. Help them to be able to be doers of what you are teaching them. Help them to be able to know. You have to teach them the skills to be able to know what you know, but more importantly than that, to be able to do and practice what you know. You are able to develop them to know and to practice what you know. Then, more importantly than that, you must now be able to teach them to also teach other people, to also develop other people. So basically what Paul was telling Peter to do, was telling Paul to do, you must be able to not just be aware of what you have, you must be able to communicate it to other people. Then you must be able to make them imbibe those qualities that you have and be able to live in them, practice them, and make it a part of their lives. Number three, then you must be able to inspire them to go ahead and love people enough to want to also release what you have released into them so that they will release it into other people as well. And be happy to do it and be excited to do it and be interested in revealing to others, in giving to others whatever you have given to them and whatever you know that you have that that they need. So you need to always be happy, and this is the primary work of a leader. As a leader, you must always be looking for opportunities to impact to others what you know, and to make sure that they don't just know it in the head, but they become doers of it. That these values and this content of character that you have has become part and parcel of them, and that they also will love people to the extent of being interested in teaching others as well. Not just thinking about their own success, not just being egocentric about what they know and who they are, and and the fact that they want to just become big themselves. No, you should go beyond them trying to be big, but into them being interested in making other people big as well. But it's not about bigness, but in making other people know what you know. And a true leader will make himself unnecessary. A true leader will make himself unneeded, because you have already raised up other people who are doing the work that you are doing. Just like I'm doing in Ukraine right now. Right now in the Ukraine, I don't even go to preach in the church every Sunday. I go once a month to preach in the church, and I do trainings. Otherwise, all the other churches that we have in Ukraine and in the city of Kyiv where I am, it is my junior pastors, my pastors that are preaching there, that are doing the Sunday services or midweek services. I don't need to do it because I've raised them up and I've been able to release them. A leader must be able to make himself not necessary, unneeded, because you have been able to raise other people to do the kind of work that you can do. So that is what it means to reproduce yourself. A leader must reproduce himself. Well, I think the point is clear. And I would like to encourage you to go and join the mentorship program, where you could learn more about these teachings, and you could learn more about my different teachings as well. Just go to sundayadelajablog.com, sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship, sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship. And also, if you have the telephone, if you have people in Africa that don't have a lot of data, but they want to be receiving our messages, please write down our WhatsApp number and send it to your friends and family members. Let them SMS us that they need our messages, and we will be sending those messages to them on daily basis for free. Or you could just take this number and then give it to the people you know, and let them, let them write to us, or rather you can actually send their numbers to us. You can send their numbers, their telephone numbers to us, and we will be able to send, the messages, the short version, the compressed version, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes messages. We'll be able to send it to them on daily basis as well. So thank you so much for your time. Go share this message with your friends and family members, and let us teach the world what it means to become true leaders. Peace.